This is part 2 of listening to the greatest music from RTS games ever made, and I'm really excited, honestly, because part 1 was wildly successful and more successful than I anticipated it being. I'm genuinely curious to hear more, and the one thing that I have to really comment on is the fact that all of these RTS games have some of the craziest names I've ever heard, and I cannot keep track of any of them, so forgive me. We're going to start off here with some more Homeworld. Kharak is burning.
Analysis of wreckage reveals the hostile units are using strike craft ranging from fighters to combat corvettes. All pilots will be briefed in case hostiles have penetrated farther into the Kharak system. On our return to Kharak, the final outfit of the mothership must be accelerated in order to defend against possible future attacks. Many major mothership systems are still incomplete. We will notify Kharak's missile defense system of this possible threat. The mothership will then dock with the scaffold for repairs. Stand by for hyperspace exit to Kharak.
It's interesting how right now it's just sound effects and sort of an alien sound quality. Wow, it's crazy.
Left. Everything's gone. Kharak is burning.
Kharak is being consumed by a firestorm. The scaffold has been destroyed. All orbital facilities destroyed. Significant debris ring in low Kharak orbit. Receiving no communications from anywhere in the system. Not even beacons.
Wait. On the maintenance frequency, I'm getting a signal from the cryo tray systems in orbit.
That's so
One of them
powerful
is
that it's
suffering a
playing
massive malfunction.
during the
cryo
gameplay and
trays are
not
under
in a
attack.
video.
Defend them. Hostile vessel captured. Crew interned. Interrogation is underway. While searching the enemy ship's computer systems, we came across these flight recordings.
Enemy frigate captured.
Stand by for playback.
Delivery can all targets acquired. Multiple impacts can surface temperature 50. Estimated immediate surface temperature 1742 and stable. Clearance granted. Primary directive achieved.
Group 1, coming into dock. Group 3, dock order.
Analysis of the recording indicates that the Kharak missile defenses heavily damaged the attacking fleet. However, we have concluded that at present they can still easily defeat us. We have therefore plotted a course to a deep space asteroid belt. There we can hide and prepare our fleet for an assault.
Docking signal green.
Enemy units neutralized. Begin salvaging the cryo trays.
Those trays contain all that remain of our people. Without them, we will become extinct.
Wow, the pressure.
Cryo trays loaded and secure. Hyperspace module charged. There's nothing left for us here. Let's go.
Interceptor complete.
Wow. And then we just leave it. I have to say that is incredibly evocative. And again, it makes me happy because Adagio for Strings is such an important piece of classical music history. I mean, there's so many amazing classical music pieces that I think deliver on an emotional high and deliver a feeling of loss and defeat in the same way that Adagio for Strings does, but that's not the intended purpose of Adagio for Strings. I mean, the thing about classical music is that a lot of these pieces, they were not written for anything, really. They were written as true music for the sake of being written, for the sake of being written. They weren't written to necessarily fill in gaps emotionally. All of that to say is that this particular piece of music is riveting. And it's amazing to see how we're using classical music in a modern era, really. Adagio for Strings was written in 1938. And I don't know how much it would have reached maybe a video game playing group of people. You know, gamers themselves. Would they have listened to Adagio for Strings if they weren't exposed to it? And so that's why it's really cool to me that we're using it in this setting, because it is a piece of sorrow and pain and there is obviously a sound of emotional tension and a somber quality to that I'm just happy that has reached somebody, because if you're not exposed to it, you often won't even really look for it. And hopefully, and maybe, hearing Adagio for Strings, or hearing even, like, totally unrelated to this, like Draco and Maria from Final Fantasy VI, which is essentially an opera within a video game, will make people want to listen to more classical music. And who knows what you've discovered because of Homeworld's approach to Adagio for Strings and Samuel Barber. Speaking of Homeworld, I wanted to listen to the Imperial Battle from Homeworld Remastered. We obviously get like a sci-fi sound right away with the crunch and the... Oh, interesting, an Indian soundscape. Feels like a ticking clock, doesn't it? It's extremely rhythmic, but that soundscape and that particular instrument is so visceral. And we get a mix of sci-fi with a real naturalness. It's definitely tense, isn't it? It's ever so slightly understated, so it feels like we're in a preparatory phase. But I like how we get the big beat. Oh, it gets louder. That's such a unique sound. You would never expect to hear that in a sci-fi game. Almost feels like chant. Also the heavy hit there. Chant. And so what does that mean? I mean, to me, that's a soundscape of two opposing forces, two opposing ideological differences coming together in a conflict. There's a bit of a preparatory phase in that because of the way that it's slow. It's not in your face. It's not heavy-handed. What it is real, like looking your opponent in the eye and saying, I see you, you see me, now we're going to move forward. The soundscape is really interesting because it does lend itself to the idea of of dueling, differences colliding, that naturalness despite the inorganic feelings of space and space battles and obviously these giant motherships and spaceships. It's very, very cool stuff, and I'm honestly really surprised and a bit shocked at how moving Homeworld soundtrack is and how guttural and raw that sounds. That's very impressive, and it opens a door for me to want to listen to more for sure. Next up is Spellforce, Elf Settlement Song. Sounds like elves. I love that the vocalism represents the grace of elves, I guess. Sounds like a harp. Da-da-da-cha-cha. I like that the upper strings, almost like this flute instrument, represents maybe greenery. The elf code. It's pretty dense. These elves are very heroic, of course. It's kind of somber, though. Forward rhythm drives us forward, of course. A lot of interesting plucked violins in there. Shum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Shum bum bum. That's quite the build here as we end up just stacking on top of itself. Oh, it ends with this flute. Oh, kind of in a downturn. That's interesting, isn't it? Because it leaves us with the sense of like these elves are courageous, strong, tough. They're obviously in like the fight of their lives. There's a quality in that music of desperation, but very much focused on heroics and heroicism. We get that mostly from the rhythm, and obviously also the denseness of the chordal structure as we're moving through that piece. There's obviously a great sense of like focus that's required mixed in with that desperation, like I mentioned. It's a really powerful theme, and I think elves are sort of an interesting thing because the generic elf idea is beautiful, strong, natural, and I think in here it also exists in that way too. They don't feel like brutal per se, but they do have an elegance and a grace about them that we see in other media as well. So it was a nice piece. The next up is Rise of Legends DomiNation by Dwayne Decker. This is from Rise of Nations, Rise of Legends. It's obviously tension building. Dissonance It's like turning a corner and seeing an enemy. Electric guitar feels like lightning, thunder. Incoming battle. Oh, okay. Horns double that idea. The strings come in. It's all building tension, building fear, building to battle. That string lick feels like possibility. Sustained brass. That's actually going in the direction I didn't expect. Sorrow, possibility for the future. Losing oneself. Succumbing to challenge. Being thrust into battle. Loss of innocence. Being overtaken. Nice little string gesture there. And so we're left with the feeling of emptiness. We're left with the feeling of like an incoming battle. We have nowhere to turn. We have nowhere to bypass this incident. We have to face it head on. There's a bunch of fear. There's a loss of innocence. There's a feeling of youthfulness gone by the wayside. There's a feeling of war, and there's a feeling of losing everything and hoping for the sense of peace and a return to form, but knowing full well that we will never get back what we used to have. And that's the kind of sound quality that's in here, because there's a real push and pull between the middle section, which is all about possibility, hopefulness, youth, especially with the strings in the middle, mixed in with that da 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 and that electric guitar da 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 da. That's really the oppositional sound quality of push and pull, and of fear and concern and loss of life and conflict more than anything else. It doesn't matter when a game came out or what a game's music sounds like with instrumentation, whether it's MIDI or otherwise, because the emotion can still come through and it can still lock us into a soundscape of connection and feeling, and that's really cool. Speaking of, here's Hell March from the first Command & Conquer Red Alert. I think I've heard 2 or 3, I heard 2, not the first one. Nice build up with this chant and march. Really feels like brutality. Louder. Feels like non-stop conflict, you know? No turning back. It is fun when you get into it. I like this. We're just constantly in this rhythm. Chop, boom, chop, boom, 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 chop, boom, chop, boom, chop. That's sustaining us this entire time. Chop, boom, chop, boom, chop, right? Chop, boom, chop, chop, chop. We get this really nice lick with the guitar. We're just in a non-stop battle right here. It's pretty straight. Nice. Oh, that's a nice little shift. That's a nice little reset. This reminds me so much of Pink Floyd The Wall. Oh, now there's an interesting shift here. So we have two distinct sections. It's so rhythmic. I like how this gives us the technology aspect of it. With the synth, the electronic MIDI file here. I kind of like that we move away from the hardcore rhythm and we move into more of like a technological or like a spy infiltration sound. Nice. This is like trying to outsmart. Where the first half is like brute force, this is more like, what are we gonna do? Where do we turn, you know? Oh, I love that. We just play the chord and then push in some other notes there. And this feels like a ticking clock, like the bomb is about to go off and we got to get it done, you know? Back with the chant. It's cool. I think a piece like this could be very easily misconstrued and viewed as one-dimensional, but it's actually a very three-dimensional sort of piece. Now, obviously, that has two distinct sections. It has the section before, which is very hardcore and electronic, prog rock, whatever. I don't actually know the official like genre defining for that. But then in the back half, we get a much more instrumental, much more interpretive, much more infiltration type sound. And the thing is, like, what I love about music is that we can basically take anything we just heard and create a million different scenarios. And I'm sure you use music for like your D&D campaigns or for other types of stuff. Music is so incredible because while I think composers are always going to be trying to elicit a feeling or a response, us as listeners can interpret those in many different ways. And I think what's really cool about Red Alert and Hell March in general is that we obviously know what it's about. And yet we can kind of even still find little things that make it feel unique and special to us. Like for me, who knows if I'm right about whether or not the second half of this is much more about the infiltration and spies and whatever, and the first half is much more like a battle that's nonstop and will never change because of the fact that the rhythm never changes, and we basically have the same thing for about 3 minutes. So in my mind, it's like, well, that's constant. We're in a constant state of fight or flight in that particular case. We have to turn and face battle, or we have to tuck our tail and run. And that's the kind of music that we get. And that can be for us, it can be for the enemy, it can be for anything. But the idea there is that anything is possible. And music is really interesting when we allow ourselves to interpret it and to move through it with our own emotional eyesight and with our own emotional thought process. And that's a really, really fun thing. I also love this piece because it feels like we're listening to music, video game music history. Frank Koplecki is an icon. I mean, like, I would hope that most people know what the Hell March is and what Command and Conquer is. And if they don't, I mean, this is like key core millennial gameplay experience, and I never played Command and Conquer, but like I was very much aware of what it was. As we move forward in the years and with the video games that come out, I do hope that people keep in mind the musical history of what's in front of us when we play these games. Whatever game you're playing, I hope you remember, like, hey man, like in the 90s or whatever this came out, this music was being composed, and I think like holding on to this music is really important. There's a little bit of a pivot there. Next up is Rome Total War, and this was one that I played a lot of when I was younger. Rome Total War, being a Roman, being Italian, si sono italiano, viva Roma, anything related to Rome, Assassin's Creed, Brotherhood, so on and so forth, I was always drawn to, and Rome Total War was no exception. This is Soldier's Chant from Rome Total War. Shoot, I don't remember this at all. Bouzouki and mandolin. And vocals by Angela Van Dyne. Oh man. Wow. Ooh, that's like kind of like crunchy, isn't it? The cymbal crashes. Oh man, that gets me proud to be a Roman. I love that brass. Now this is like lift heavy weights music that you feel so empowered, feel so strong. Rhythm is everything in this piece. Even the way that the men are singing here, it's all rhythmic. You feel that though? That feels like a real like sono italiano. Just makes you want to smack your chest. It's very masculine, very dominant. Wow. Wow, I could listen to 5 minutes of that. That was way too short at 2 minutes and 41. That, to me, that's like triumphant, like we are the SPQR, we are the Roman Empire, nothing is going to get in our way. Unbridled confidence, unbridled sense of power. Love the sharp rhythms in that throughout the entire thing. And we have a real proclaimed male chorus that's saying, we are who we are, we will not be defeated, we will be triumphant. It's a perfect workout piece. And man, I loved that. That is going on the playlist. That's amazing. Wow, I am actually blown away by that. That's so cool. Let's listen to Terran Theme 1 from Starcraft. Dum, dum. Reflective here too. Oh, I love the trumpet's so cool back there. Ba-da-da. Now that's heroic. Okay. A little bit intense. Kind of understated here, quite a bit actually. I actually love this guitar here. It's my favorite part of the whole piece so far. It really feels like we got to get it done. Like there's a job to do and the responsibility falls on us to do it. I felt like the piece meandered quite a bit, but it was really about getting something done, accomplishing a great difficult battle, and then coming out the other side being like, okay, well, like the work never ends. And it's very much like a blue collar song in a way. You know, there was a sense of forward momentum, forward drive that said, here I am, we're very busy, we have a job to do. I'm not going to let anybody get in the way of my job, no matter who you are. It didn't feel like battle ready and battle hardened and hardcore and heavy. What it really felt like was, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And that was the theme that kind of came across. It's really fun for me to listen to the music from Starcraft because I know nothing about StarCraft 1 or 2. I've never played these games. This was not part of the lexicon of my childhood and in the lexicon of my gaming experience. I never touched these games. And so to hear this, I mean, it makes me want to hear the different entities, and really I should do a StarCraft episode on its own because I feel like there's a lot in here to digest and discover. There's a comment down here in the comments for this that was really interesting to read, and it said, this theme is so human. In my mind, a picture of people working together towards a common goal pops up with this music. The human struggle to advance, to innovate, to learn, all with a short amount of time, a human lifetime. This piece is beautiful and metal at the same time. And I have to agree. And that's the beautiful thing again, is that like that interpretation is so completely and utterly valid. And it's a true feeling of like what music can symbolize for each of us as we go through and listen to these pieces. And that's, you know, extremely cool. Next up is the Imperial Guard theme from Dawn of War Winter Assault. Loving the chant in the background there. I love how heavy that rhythm is. The violin just twisting like that. A little bit of danger in here, isn't there? Nice big heavy rhythm. Shift. There's a lot of stuff in here that makes it off kilter. Yeah, push and pull of battle in here. Yeah, so you know what's interesting about this particular piece is that we have a lot of back and forth. That actually felt like we were constantly shifting meter, constantly shifting rhythm. What that eventually causes is a feeling of moving forward, moving backward, moving forward, moving backward. We're moving the goalpost is being pulled out on us. We're moving forward. I don't know what the phrases are. Sorry, I don't play sports. The point is that like that piece was actually kind of hard to pin down because there were so many little micro movements that were happening from the beginning all the way to the end where we were constantly shifting a little bit. First, we have the chant. The chant never went away. Then we have a little bit of a melodic section. Then we're constantly moving forward. And, you know, I think it wasn't necessarily my favorite track that I've heard from a Warhammer game. Certainly Dawn of War 2, the theme I listened last video, really like stuck with me a little bit more. But I was impressed by the constant forward propulsion and then the constant return back. And I think that that's really interesting because that makes the war aspect of this so real because we're never just pushing forward and defeating our enemy in a single bout. This is all about ebbing and flowing and moving with the pace of battle, whether it's for us or against us. Lastly, I want to listen to Age of Mythology Retold. The soundtrack this game just came out. I actually picked it up because of my last RTS video. This is Flavor Cats. Oh wow, cool. Whoa! That's a sick groove, isn't it? There's a confidence in this sound. It's pretty cool. Wow, and the tempo stays the same, even though we cut the instrumentation all the way back. A little bit of synthesized bass in the background. I love it because we do get a mythological sound. We do get the feeling of like we're in a land of gods and men, right? Cool mallet instrument with the... I love this percussion in here with this drum. It's sparse down. It shifts a little bit here. The groove slightly alters. I really like that. Oh man, it's too short. Again, that's an expression of confidence. In Age of Mythology, we are dealing with gods and we're dealing with, you know, the followers of said gods and the combat that's involved in there and moving forward, moving the goalposts forward, like I mentioned in the previous track. We have that here too. And it's fun how music, because of, again, melody and rhythm, can create a feeling of forward drive, of enthusiasm, of confidence, of feeling larger than life, kind of like the gods, and capable of achieving a goal. And that's what's cool about all of these tracks is that there's always some sort of goal at the end of the day. There's always some sort of forward propulsion that's about conquest, that's about battle. And one of the cool things about this whole series actually that I've started on accident is that there's like a lot of music in here that is actually forward driving, that's inspiring and motivating. Even when it's somber or dire or maybe focused on the battle, there's a lot of soundscapes here that are really, really special because they're all unique in the way that they're describing conflict, which is cool because it gives us a wide berth to see how much music invokes a sense of forward momentum and a sense of battle and a sense of victory. Man, there's so many tracks I didn't get to. Heroes of Might and Magic, the Dune RTS, Battle for Middle-earth, Total Annihilation, Age of Empires 2. We obviously have to keep doing this series. Please drop in the comments below what you would like to listen to next. I'm really excited to keep this going. There's so much good RTS music that needs to be heard, and hopefully people that are not into RTS games are watching this so that we can keep this music alive. What a nostalgia trip for a lot of you, and yeah, what a great way to discover new music for me. So as always, thanks a ton, and I'll see you later. Bye.